Hello, hello. Let me just bring this back. I said in my previous video that I was going to move straight on to film a craft video, a Let's Create, and then I was going to upload both videos at the same time, both meaning this video and the Happy Mail and news video. However, I'm going to sit down because I'm going to stop waving my arms around. What happened is, I don't know if you heard the last video, but I did say that my dining room was a little bit of a health and safety-ish hazard, and I unhooked my camera, walked into the poles that my camera are suspended on. I then proceeded to trip over the sewing machine and fall onto my big shot. So it was quite comical, I'm sure, if you were watching, but luckily no one was. But it was also a bit painful. So I'm wearing flip-flops, which is not really me. I'm used to either big boots or Converse. So I'm wearing flip-flops. Disastrous room. Anyway, cut a long story short, I had a cup of coffee, sat down for a little while, and I uploaded the video while I was preparing myself to do this craft video, which I'm now ready to do. Let's go. It also gave me a bit of a chance to formulate a bit more of a plan in my head, what I wanted to do, because I didn't really have an idea before, just wanted to create. So this is probably going to be a long video. I'm not going to apologise for that because I keep being told off for doing so. These are the bits that I've pulled out. Various bags, and all of this has come to me in Happy Mail, and I haven't used it yet, so it just seems a shame. I've also got the gorgeous wallpaper that I got from Marsha, and also this beautiful image that comes from Julie at the Old Design Shop. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do, except I know I'm going to use these. So one thing I do have loads and loads of are these kind of cheap C5 envelopes. I have so many of them. I'm going to use these, and I am going to do some embossing. So what I did do while I was having my coffee and feeling a bit sorry for myself was cut some bits ready to use. Now, these envelopes are too big to go through my embossing machine as they are, but I am going to emboss these, and then I'm going to deboss them. But one of my amazing YouTube subscribers gave me a little tip, which I'm going to try with this. So I'm going to attempt to pick up my big shot, which is behind me. Oh, I'm sorry. And I'm just going to make sure that's kind of in frame. Now, I always lift up two when I'm using my embossing because it never seems to work on the proper thing, the proper platform. So I'm going to put that at the bottom. Please don't look at how manky that is, because it is a bit manky. And I've got two embossing folders. That one I think I might use for, that one's not going to be big enough either. I only have the three. I picked this one up at a charity shop not so long ago. I don't know how old it is, but it is a, oh, did I get this from the charity shop? I'm not sure now, actually. I think I did. I've had it so long, and I've never used this bit. I've used these. That one's going to be too small too. So these are the three embossing folders that I have. It's going to have to be this one, which is kind of like all of my projects use this one. It's the only one that's ever big enough. I don't know what it is. It says design objectives on the back. I don't have the case for it anymore. It was back in the days where I didn't realise how important it was to let people know what you're using. So, just going to pop this through, and hopefully I'm not going to smack my head on the poles again. I do love that. I do love this folder. It's a good job really, because it's the one I always use. And not sure if this is being shot well enough. I suppose this is where it would be amazing to have a craft room with loads of space and a designated area for filming. That would be marvellous, wouldn't it? I know a lot of you do have that, and you are so lucky. Okay, so I've got these. Now what I'm going to do is throw things around for a minute, and then I'm just going to get that out of the way. I'm going to grab my inks. This was a tip that I was given about maybe inking these before I deboss them, because you might get a better effect. So let's see if that works. I'm just going all over with the vintage photo. Obviously you knew you were going to have to watch me ink. And again, I'm going to try not to say I'm sorry for making you watch this. I could have made a bit of money out of that. If I was filming and the camera was in the right place when I fell over, I'm sure there's channels, like, I don't know, what's that, You've Been Framed or something. I'd have been able to send that in. Oh, trying to set up. It's the fact that I've got my sewing machine at my feet, because I didn't want to do the whole video with the sewing machine on the table, because I have to sit so far over to the left. And the other thing is, I've put the sewing machine on my homemade makeshift desk, and it did hold the weight, but it was fairly far back. When I get the sewing machine out to use shortly, or in a bit, hopefully it will still take the weight when it's a bit closer to the front, or there may be another opportunity for a comical video. So I spent all weekend, it's been beautiful here in Suffolk in the UK. I don't know if it's been beautiful where you are, if any of you are in the UK, I'm sure it has been. But I spent the whole weekend sitting at my computer, and it was lovely, in as much as I do love using Photoshop and creating and designing, but I feel like I've missed all the lovely weather. And we don't know how long we're going to get it here, do we? Right, that's enough with the vintage photo. I'm just going to use it. I've got my inks in a tin now, thanks to the lovely Abby. I've got enough to have them in a tin. It's very nice. It's not a Tim Holtz tin, it's actually a I picked it up from a, couldn't tell you actually whether it was a car boot sale or a charity shop now. It's a cake tin with a see-through lid. It's for cupcakes. But it does the same job. So, was I saying something? I don't know what I was saying. Beautiful weather. Yeah, feel like I've missed it. But I mean, it's glorious out there again today. But I don't know. Maybe it's just us crafters. I'd much rather. I just want to do this. I just want to do this. So let's get this back. And what I'm going to do is, so it's the right thickness, I'm just going to pop those together, pop them on the bottom board. I'm going to pop the closed embossing folder over the top, and then put this down as well. And I'm going to put it. Now I haven't done this debossing with cardstock before, so I'm not sure what it's going to turn out like. Ooh, look at that. That is awesome. I don't know if you can see that properly. Loving it. Yep, brilliant. Very happy with that. So now I'm going to dangerously put this behind me again, and I hope to remember it's there when I stand up. And we are going to put these, they're going to be front and back covers, and they will stiffen this up a little bit also. What I thought is I would tuck this in here, like so. Now I do not want to stick that one down as it is, but this one I do. Yeah, so I'm going to stick this one down. It's not too soon, is it? No, I don't think so. So I've kind of got a little booklet with 2 pockets, and there's probably going to be areas, I'm going to sew all of this, so hopefully, because obviously you're going to, there's a little bit of a gap there and there, but hopefully that won't matter. What I might do, I don't want to use glue on it if I'm going to put it through the sewing machine, so I'm going to leave that like that for now. That's obviously going to be the back because there's the join. So now I'm going to work on these. Now the back cover I'm going to leave. I'm just going to do something with this. Now I am loving the whole, oh sorry, I've got to just go under my desk. I'm loving the whole snippety, shabby thingy. So I might use bits out of here. I've had to upgrade my snippet box. I have got, now do I want this pretty girly? I love this paper. I don't know exactly what it is. It's called Collins Universal Trade Reckoner, and it's kind of just lots of shillings and halfpenny conversion tables, I think. I actually have no idea exactly what it is, but it's a pretty cool book. So I could use something from here. But that's not really shabby girly. It might be a good background. And I also have this, which is some kind of catalogue that I picked up, and there are images in here. Are they double-sided? Oh, that's typical, isn't it? They're double-sided. Maybe I can find one where I don't like both sides. That's a possibility. I like that one, but not the other side. It's a bit big. Like that. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. That's a dilemma, because that's gorgeous. I think I'm going to have to go for this one. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for that one. I can hear you all go, no! Don't tear it out! But it's why I bought it. I bought it to tear it up. So, the amount of times I've put something in here that's been really nice, and this paper cutter has just ripped it to shreds. I should have done a little test really before I started cutting that out. Too late now, and it's lucky because it worked. So still feels slightly big, doesn't it? But then it's gonna sit on top of the cover. Now I just wonder whether the sewing is kind of needed first. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we'll be okay. So let me grab my snippet box. I don't need that. And see what I have in here. I actually have some, I've already got that out, which is what I got from the lovely Marsh. That's a piece of the lovely wedding dress I got from Abby. Got these gorgeous pieces and some little bits. I'll tell you what I do have. This and this are from my daughter's Holy Communion dress. I can hear you shouting at me now. And these gorgeous butterflies. I'll leave those out. Yeah, basically my daughter's Holy Communion, she's 21 now, so it was, you know, a fair while ago. These are a load of the butterflies that I cut out from it actually as well. It was a fair while ago, but she stood on the back of her dress and ripped all of the netting, and although the top of the dress was still in perfect condition, I decided that it was time to use it. To which she was okay about it, because I asked her after I'd done it. I think we've got a few bits there. So let's see. There's obviously a lot more in the bottom of the box. I like the netting. It's obviously not enough to do one. Or is there? Oh, I could have done one piece. I do have a lot more of this. I've only just put a smaller amount in my little snippet box. I'm going to cut this. I think I'm getting better at not thinking about it too much, just doing it. So hopefully I have sped up a little bit, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be 2 videos. I may even have to do a little bit and then come back and show you what I've done, because it might be a bit too long. Now I'm not going for perfect, I just want it to fit inside. There we go, that's a bit rough and ready, but that's okay. Now what I want to do is back this with some of this satin. Although I kept out that gorgeous satin from Kerry. I think this might be a little bit too thick actually. That's a shame. Might make some nice tags though for the inside. So this kind of idea is a bit of a mix, isn't it? Again, we've got good old Wendy. Hi Wendy. And the lovely Gail. Hi Gail. It's a bit of a mix. Lots of inspiration from both of those lovely ladies. And Crafty Sabby, obviously, with the old embossing. That's where I got the old embossing idea from. The lovely Sabrina. I'll try that in a minute. So I'm obviously going to stick bits and pieces over the top of this image. I have no idea exactly what yet. To make this a little bit shorter. Still a bit shaky from falling over. Oh, story of my life. One year when it was really, really cold, I used to work on a hill. And it'd been snowing and the snow was all compacted because I used to work in the town centre. And I slid on a corner where there's a drop curb, and I kind of, you can imagine, I did a bit of an Elvis impression, and then I landed on my backside and I twisted my ankle and there was a post box right next to where I'd fallen, and the postman was collecting the mail, and bless him, he kind of supported me while I hobbled all the way back to work, and then the first aider had to strap all my ankle up. I am continuously falling over. It's a story of my life. But I think it's because I can only, I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I can only see out of my right eye. I can't see out of my left eye, and I've always blamed that because my sense of perspective is clearly not right. That's what I am sticking to, even though I know there are lots of other people who are in the same boat and they manage perfectly well with one eye. I don't like the cream, so I'm inking this slightly. And I think what I'm going to do is just give it a bit of a little dab of glue in the middle to stick it together, and then sew it all into place. Maybe I'll do all the sewing at the end. So I don't know that I need to ink that. It's not going to be completely square, but I'm going to be good with that. I'm going to be good with it. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to get this done. Maybe I should just stick to making very small projects on film. You know, I've got a couple of Photoshop tutorials planned, so I'm not sure if I'll get those done today or tomorrow. I like to film those kind of really early in the morning when everyone else is in bed, because it's easier. It's easier when it's quiet, and I can get them done really, really early. So I have got a couple of planned Photoshop tutorials coming up, and just pop a little bit more on there. Ooh. I think that might be Chantel. Morning, Chantel. That was my phone vibrating. It's about the right time. We usually say good morning to each other about now. Oh, pants. I didn't really want to put glue right around the edge, did I? Ah! Gonna have to wait for that to dry fairly well before I stick that through the sewing machine. So I think that's as much as I'm going to do to that for a minute, because what I want to do is, my plan would be to sew, now I do have to wait because obviously I've got glue on the edge of the image, sew round the image and sew round the outside of this piece. I might trim this a little bit more, but I'm going to have lots of other bits on here. And what I do want to do is pop a spine on here. But that's not going to, I might have to try and slide that underneath the image, the edge. Because like I said, these are really cheap envelopes. They are not very good quality, and that's not really long enough. But what can I use? Oh, I could use some of the might use a piece of the satin over the top of that. So what I do have to do is come up with something for the inside here. Ah, Julie's paper. No, Marsha's paper. That's not quite long enough either. Let's have a look. Let me get rid of this box for a minute. I really am not sure how I'm going to do anything here today. That's quite nice because it also, that does that exactly the exact same pattern as the, it's almost the same pattern as the embossing, so that's quite good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a smidgen of the edge off this bag. Check that's open, and then I need it to cover that inside bit, so I'm just going to cut up there. And I'll do both sides because I can always use the other piece for something else. Cut that. Oh, look at that, that's perfect. Perfect size. Now, like I said, I am going to sew this, but what I might need to do is stick this to that flap. If I can get that out. Is that going to be, that's probably only just wide enough now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off, because hopefully I'm going to sew along this piece here. I want that to just cover that gap, tuck in there. So I'm going to stick that to the flap that side. Well, I hope this is going to work. It's part of that, not trying things out before you. Sometimes you don't have time to trial things before you go for it, do you? You know, you just have to do it. And I'm very glad you're coming along for the ride. Right, I do think I'm going to be okay to pop a little bit of glue along the very edge here, because the stitching's going to be a little bit closer in. Right. I'm just going to put a tiny bit along the very edge. I can hold that down. Tuck that in. I think that looks pretty good. So now what I want to do, I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap something, tuck this in here to ink these edges quite carefully because they're a bit fragile, being a very cheap envelope. As you can see, I've already bent them. Not particularly easy to do this. But it'll look good in the end, hopefully. I might actually lace the edges if I can. We'll see how well it closes. I mean, it would be great if you've got better quality envelopes to do this. I did have some better quality envelopes, but they opened at the top. So, you know, I had this kind of thing in my head that I wanted to do. And if you don't have the right thing, I wonder if I should just, you know, maybe not worry so much about the detail when I'm doing videos and just do something a little bit more basic. Maybe. The rest of it I can ink later. But I think that's pretty good. Right, so that's that done. So now what I want to do is I want to cut a piece of this gorgeous satin